A wall of mud, rock, and ice broke loose high on the Himalayan frontier between Nepal and Tibet on Wednesday morning, collapsing into a mountain river and sending a surge of debris and water into the valleys below. The moment it reached the border crossing was captured on camera. Footage shows people running across an open checkpoint yard, then the frame going brown as mud and boulders swallow the road in seconds. The surge entered the Boat Koshi River at around 9 in the morning local time, moving from the Chinese side of the border into Nepal's Rasua district, a mountainous area of roughly 50,000 people. The settlements of Timur and Sayabrubesi took the first impact. Both sit on the riverbank, both serve as staging points for trekkers heading into the Langtang Valley and for pilgrims traveling toward Kailash Mansarovar, and both were crowded with vehicles, cargo, and travelers when the water arrived. Nepal's foreign minister told Parliament that a preliminary assessment points to an earthquake in the high Himalaya as the trigger. The shaking is believed to have released an avalanche of ice and rock, which slid into the river channel and formed a temporary dam. When that dam failed, everything held behind it came down the valley at once. That mechanism explains why the flood arrived as a single violent pulse rather than a gradual rise. The confirmed death toll has climbed steadily and now stands at 31 or more, according to police in Bagmati province. Officials expect that figure to rise substantially because the number unaccounted for is far larger. Nepal's tourism board, working from records supplied by travel and trekking agencies, has identified 384 travelers reported missing. 291 of them are foreign nationals, and 93 are Nepali. The list of nationalities reflects how heavily this corridor is used. 105 Indian citizens are among the missing, along with 12 British nationals, 17 Malaysians, 4 South Africans, and Australian, Dutch, and American citizens. 8 South Korean hydropower workers are also unaccounted for. Authorities stress that many of those listed may simply be out of contact in an area where phone and internet service has been destroyed. Rescue work was severely constrained for hours. Army helicopters could not land in the worst-hit areas, while the river remained above its normal channel, so crews winched people directly from rooftops and from the surface of the mud. Video released by the Nepali army shows survivors caked to the shoulders in gray silt, being lifted into hovering aircraft, some visibly injured. At least a dozen people were airlifted out of Rasua before conditions closed in again.
नदीको मेन बजार जुन चाइना हुँदै काठमाडौँ जाने बाटो बजार थियो यहाँ अब अहिले केही पनि छैन हेर्नुस् यहाँ
The destruction did not stop at the border zone. The boat Koshi feeds into the Trishuli River, and the surge carried downstream into Nuwakot and Dading districts. Around 60 houses near Trishuli Bazaar were swept away, and 2 bridges over the Trishuli were damaged or destroyed.
झरेको पुल आएर हानेर यहाँको पनि लग्यो
Residents described cars, cargo containers, and sections of buildings tumbling past in the current, and mud has buried ground floors and courtyards many kilometers from where the collapse originated. Nepal's power grid took a heavy hit. The Energy Ministry reported that around 430 megawatts of generation capacity has been knocked offline, most of it hydroelectric. That is more than 12% of the country's total installed hydropower capacity of roughly 3.2 gigawatts. The Rasawagati project, rated at 111 megawatts, was directly in the path, as were the Sanjan Kola, Upper Trishuli 3A, Chilim, and Devikat facilities. The customs complex at Rasua, one of Nepal's main trade gateways to China, was overrun. Vehicles and stored goods on the premises were carried off by the water, and a recently completed bridge at the crossing was destroyed outright. Cross-border commercial traffic has stopped. On the Chinese side, state media reported major casualties and missing persons at the Kyirong port checkpoint in Shigatse, where the slide crossed the frontier. Roads, communications, and power in the surrounding area were cut, and traffic authorities warned that routes there remain at risk of further slides. Chinese leadership ordered an all-out search effort and stronger early warning against secondary events, and relief supplies are moving into the affected county. No official casualty figures have been released from that side. Alert. The boat Koshi and Trishuli eventually feed the Gandak River system, which crosses into India, and security has been increased at the Valmakinigar barrage. Nepal's Prime Minister said police and military units have joined the rescue effort and ordered residents in low-lying areas along the rivers moved to safer ground. This is not the first time this stretch of river has produced a catastrophe. Just over a year ago, a flash flood tore down the same corridor, killed 9 people, left more than 20 missing, and washed away the friendship bridge linking Nepal and China. That event was traced to the sudden draining of a superglacial lake north of the border, above 5,000 meters. The pattern behind these events is well documented. Warming across the Himalaya is destabilizing ice, thawing frozen ground that once held steep slopes together, and swelling meltwater ponds perched on and behind glaciers. Those ponds are held back by loose moraine and ice, not by engineered structures, and seismic activity in one of the most tectonically active ranges on Earth adds a second trigger. The result is a growing number of high-energy floods that arrive without rainfall, without a storm warning, and without time for anyone downstream to react. Search and recovery operations continue across Rasuwa, Nuwakot, and Dating. Officials caution that many communities remain unreachable by road, that the scale of loss in the upper valley is still unknown, and that the number of confirmed fatalities is likely to climb well beyond current figures as teams reach the areas closest to where the mountain gave way.